My name is Elizabeth Smith. I enjoy writing about short stories based on the experiences of my family. My first story is What's in a Name? I left the doctor's office walking on cloud nine. After years of going to doctors, I was pregnant. I couldn't wait to tell Ted the wonderful news. On the way home, I passed Dalton's bookstore. I drove around the block, found his parking space, and went in. What we needed was a book of baby names. Which one should I buy? Baby names A to Z, or today's best baby names? Tapping my foot, I waited impatiently for the cashier to give a refund to the man in front of me. At last it was my turn. To save time, I had the exact change for the book, Today's Best Baby Names. I drove the quickest route home. Even the traffic lights smiled on me, turning green as I approached them. Just before entering the driveway, I pushed the remote control, opening the garage doors. I wanted to drive right in and not wait. I ran up the garage stairs to the kitchen, calling Ted. You don't have to say anything. I can tell by your radiant smile and shining eyes. The answer is yes, I'm pregnant. Ted said as he hugged and swung me around with joy. Does it show that much? I would have been home sooner, but I bought this book of baby names. We wanted a name that couldn't be short or have a nickname. Some of the names made us laugh. Others were considered as possibilities. I hadn't realized how hard it was to decide a baby's name. Our relatives gave us uninvited suggestions. Both grandfathers asked us to name our son after them. I said to Ted, you can't name the baby after one grandfather. The other grandfather might feel slighted. I'll tell them that we don't want to call the name of Robert with the nickname of Bob, or the name of William with the nickname of Bill. It will be the truth, and that way no one's feelings will be hurt. I didn't want to name our daughter after my mother myself, as Mother asked. Then she could be called Little Ann, Annie, or even Orphan Annie. To appease my mother, I said, I don't want another Ann, but I will think about using Ann for a middle name. Janice, my sister, called. Chad is a nice short name and means warrior. That should be masculine enough. Or Carol for your daughter, which means melody. I thought about it for a minute, then replied very emphatically, no way. Their initials would be CC, and that could be a nickname. Almost every night I would recommend a couple of names to Ted. We could not agree. Let's give our brains a rest and not think of names for a few weeks, I suggested. Ted thought that was a good idea, and he agreed. Our 16-year-old niece, Nancy, came for a visit. I gave her the book of baby names to glance through. Here's a different name for a boy, and it's short. Zev. It means a wolf. She raised her eyebrows and gave me a hither look. How about the name of Zoe for a girl? It means life. That night, when Ted came home, I told him that Nancy thought Zev and Zoe were short and different. We doubled over with laughter at the disgusted look on his face. The next day, Nancy and I went to the beach. Ann, look at those cute fellows over there, Nancy said as she pointed towards the parallel bars. Her eyes continued to scan the male population. Suddenly she exclaimed, Hey, see that tall, blond, muscular guy running over to the other fellows? Yes, I see him. What about him? Now that's what I'd call a Wade. Tall, good-looking, athletic, and a real hunk, Nancy stated with satisfaction. When Nancy went home, I thanked her for her help in the name suggestion department. The baby's kicking reminded me that I couldn't call it the baby once it presented itself to the world. I opened the book of baby names again. The night was the night we would decide what name to call it. Right after supper, Ted and I sat down and read through the book, going over the names we had checked off as possibilities. Next morning I called my mother. Mom, we decided the name of Olivia for a girl and Oscar for a boy. After a few seconds of silence, Mother asked, Are you serious about the name of Oscar? The kids will be calling him Oscar Mayer or Oscar the Grouch. Olivia's nice, but I thought you wanted a short first name since your last name is so long. Also, your daughter might be called Olive Oil. Oh no. Now we're back to square one. Why should naming a baby be so difficult? I was now 8 months pregnant and still no name for the baby to be. Ted, I have the perfect solution. We don't know if it's a boy or a girl, so I picked out some names that could be used for either sex. How about Blair, Brooke, Dale, Lynn, or he shook his head and looked at me as if I were not responsible for what I was saying. Okay, all kidding aside, let's name our daughter Ruth, which means companion, or our son Keith, which means the wind. The following month, I had a blonde, blue-eyed baby boy. Of all the names that were suggested, which one do you think we decided? That's right, Wade. My second story is called The Wedding Ring. The Indian summer day in Massachusetts was perfect for a game of rugby. Not wanting to lose his wedding ring and change, Josh put them in his shoe with his shirt. What a game! Josh's team won. Time to go home. Josh jerked his shirt out of his shoe. His money and ring flew into the air and scattered on the ground. He looked with the help of his teammates until it was too dark to see. All the money was recovered. Where was the ring? What can he say to his wife of 3 months? There was only one thought that gave Josh hope. As soon as he arrived home, he called his grandmother in New Jersey. Mom, this is Old Man. I have a question. What is it, Josh? Asked his grandmother. Do you still have Pop-Pop's metal detector? Yes. Why? May I borrow it? I lost my wedding ring. I have a good idea of where it might be. It's in the grass where I left my shoes while playing rugby. In 2 weeks, when I come to Vermont for your celebration party, I will bring it with me. We will need new batteries. It hasn't been used for 30 years. Thanks, Mom, Josh said with a happy sigh. To be sure his grandmother would not forget, she took the metal detector and the information booklet and put them with the other things she was taking to Vermont. The day of the party came. Josh was glad to get the detector. The day after the party, on the way back home, Josh stopped at the rugby field. He and his wife Cheryl went to the spot where Josh thought the ring should be. Swaying the detector slowly from side to side, in the area where he put his shoes there was no beep. He continued to slowly sway the detector in wider and wider circles. He didn't want to stop. Snow or no snow, he was going to keep looking till he found it. When he heard a beep, he held the detector over the spot, while his wife got down on her hands and knees to spread the tall grass stem by stem. The wet snow made her hands cold, but that did not deter her. The ring was down in the dirt, covered with snow. Josh was elated with happiness. He thanked his grandmother for lending him the metal detector. Now Cheryl makes sure he keeps the wedding ring home with her when he plays rugby.